Alrighty, YouTube Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video. So, I'm currently watching the Seattle Seahawks game. It looks like the Commanders just scored with I don't know, 20 seconds left. But either way, I want to start doing this segment on this channel. Basically, I kind of want to talk about and do a segment on giving out game balls to who I think were like some of the studs in the game, or the players that kind of played the best, I guess you could say. So it's going to be basically like a studs and duds from each game. So I think for the first game ball, if I could give a game, we're going to be probably doing like 3 game balls or so. I'm going to be listing a couple players on who I think had a great game and helped the 49ers a lot in the win. And I'll be doing this if they lose as well. It's going to be like this for every game. So just something I kind of thought about would be a good idea to kind of talk more on games and things of that nature, other than just like a post-game reaction video. But the first game ball I would give out to would probably have to be, I'm going to say Brock Purdy. I think the first one goes to Brock Purdy, or at least one of them goes to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy was 19 for 26. I believe it was 290 yards, 3 touchdowns to no interceptions. Brock Purdy played like a true pro out there. I have seen these games from Brock Purdy time and time again. I think, with him struggling the past couple weeks, he didn't have one of his favorite options in Deebo Samuel. He didn't have his blind side being protected at the best of its ability without having Trent Williams. And I think a big question going into this week against the Jaguars was, can Brock Purdy do enough for the 49ers to win the game? Can he bounce back on track and be the quarterback, that he's asked to be, in San Francisco? And Brock Purdy definitely, got back on track today. Again, I listed his stats. He had pretty much damn near a perfect quarterback rating. He couldn't have played better. Limited turnovers, which is a big thing. There was a dangerous throw, though, and I talked about this during the halftime video I made. But there was a dangerous throw that he had to, it was actually his first touchdown, the 49ers' first touchdown of the day. It was to Brandon Ayuk, and Purdy, it was a dangerous throw. He kind of threw it cross-body back into the way of the defense. He threw it pretty much in front of 2 defenders. He's lucky that the Jaguars' defensive back didn't jump up and grab it, because it could have been intercepted easily. But obviously, it in a way it was a good throw because he fit it in a tight window, but it definitely still could have been intercepted. But other than that, Brock Purdy was ripping the ball down the field today. Kyle Shanahan always talks about how Brock Purdy is capable of doing them type of things, and I've seen it. We've all seen it time and time again. Brock Purdy can throw the football with a lot of velocity, and he's a fairly accurate passer for the most part, especially I think over the course of this season. He's been pretty accurate. So, I'd probably give the first game ball to Brock Purdy. Again, he played well. He limited turnovers. He made some great high level type throws today. So, I think Brock Purdy gets the first game ball. Moving on to the second game ball, I think you got to give it to Steve Wilks, to be completely honest. Look, a lot of people were bashing Steve Wilks about his defensive play, over the past month of football. People wanting him to be fired. People, saying how he's overrated, this and that. All the Steve Wilks and naysayers out there. And here's the thing: I criticized him, but I never once said that Steve Wilks should be fired. Steve Wilks definitely gets a game ball. He was on, obviously, the sidelines coaching today, which was a change considering he typically calls plays and coaches from the press box. But he makes his debut down on the field with the Niners. And again, I think it's something like Kyle Shanahan said in his post-game press conference. It was something that was so overrated when it comes to like people saying that him being on the sideline is going to be a massive difference in the 49ers defensive play. I like him being on the sideline more, don't get me wrong, and I definitely think he should stay on the sideline. There's better communication, but overall, I mean, Steve Wilks coached a tremendous game today for the Niners. Steve Wilks, again, getting backlash all season about how his defense has been bad, and rightfully so. I mean, his defense was bad against Cleveland and Cincinnati and Minnesota, but Steve Wilks called a hell of a game today. I noticed that there was a lot of more man coverage being played, which was very good. He was doing a good job at coaching Charvarius Ward on the sidelines today, getting fired up, whenever Charvarius Ward defended a pass that could have been a touchdown to Christian Kirk. But yeah, I mean, great things from Steve Wilks today. He definitely bounced back. He called a perfect game. He gave our defensive line opportunities to get to Trevor Lawrence and to sack Trevor Lawrence. So, yeah, I mean, Steve Wilks definitely gets a game ball. We can all bash him when he calls bad games, but at the same time, you got to give credit where credit's due, and I thought he called a tremendous game. I don't think the reason the 49ers played extremely well on defense is because, Steve Wilks called a good game. I mean, at the end of the day, the players on the 49ers defense are the ones making the plays. And, Bosa came alive. All the big-time, top-paid players on our defense came alive, today. And, I think it was just a great effort. But, again, I mean, I got to give credit. Steve Wilks called a good game, and that's that. And then moving on to the third and final game ball, I'm going to say Fred Warner. This could have went to a couple guys, George Kittle. But I think all in all, Fred Warner was so dominant today. He had an interception. He had a couple pass breakups. He was playing from sideline to sideline per usual. I mean, this is something that Fred Warner does all the time. He swarmed the ball. He was on ETN, locking him up in the run game and the pass game, which, again, was something, big for the 49ers going into this game with Travis Etienne being so dangerous in the pass game and of course, him being dangerous as well in the run game. The 49ers completely shut Etienne down in the run game. And that you got to give credit to the defensive linemen as well. Between Javon Hargrave and Chase Young, they did great. The edge rushers did great. Bosa and Young did great at, setting that edge, making sure nothing gets, too outside of them. The inside run defense with Eric Armstead and Javon Hargrave was being, all of that considered. The defensive line, the front seven in general played a good game, but Fred Warner in particular was just all over the field. And again, this is not surprising. I mean, this is something that Fred Warner does week in, week out. He's by far the best and the most complete linebacker in the National Football League. And everybody understands that, though. Like, this is nothing surprising from Fred Warner. He does this, every game. But I thought in particular today, he was a main reason for, Evan Ingram and Etienne being shut down. So, just to recap, I mean, we give one to Steve Wilks. Again, thought he called a great game. Brock Purdy, of course, had a good game, and then the third game ball I gave to Fred Warner. So there's a lot of honorable mentions as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there listening to this video are probably thinking of a player that deserved the game ball more than one of them guys. But like I said, I mean, it was just a great team win. When you have a great team win like this, it's hard to give out game balls to three in particular coaches or players. So, I mean, again, I thought it was, it was just good team ball on all phases, special teams included, to be honest. Mitch Wishnowsky punted great today, which I didn't explain that or talk about that in my post-game reaction video or my recap video. But, Mitch Wishnowsky punted a great game. Again, great overall team win for the 49ers. They look like the 49ers today. And obviously, it's moving on. This team has a tough stretch of games coming up. We're at home against Tampa coming up next Sunday, so that's going to be an interesting game as well. Niners win. Game balls, Purdy, Steve Wilks, Fred Warner. Those are my three. If you guys have any other players or coaches in the comment section down below that you think had a good game, let me know in the comment section. And, yeah, with that being said, as always, go Niners. And I'll see you guys in the next one.